We want to welcome you to BayWorks and BACWE's, that is the Bay Area Consortium for Water and Wastewater Education, Virtual Water and Wastewater Operator Certification Exam Prep Workshop. We want to welcome you here today. We are so glad that you are joining us today, and we believe this event will add value to your professional career. My name is Robert Scott, and I'm the Vice President of BayWork, as well as the Technical Training Program Administrator with Valley Water. BayWork is so happy to be partnering with BACWE again and to bring this event. Moreover, we are overjoyed that both organizations are committed to continue to work together to educate our present and future workforce. This partnership is an expressed example of dedication to and belief in the tenet of collaboration. We truly believe we are better together. Also, we are so happy to have with us today Annette Caraway, who's the Chief Staff Services Manager in the Office of Operations Certification with Water Resource Control Board. We also have a wonderful relationship with her and her office and are extremely grateful for her continual support and attendance at events such as this one. She's here to speak to you, so I want to give her the floor now. Why don't you just use your reaction in tab to give a thumbs up or a clap at the bottom of your screen and welcome Miss Annette Caraway.
Well, I thank all of you at BayWork and BACWE, let me get this together, for this opportunity. Let me just apologize because there's no video of me today. I am usually working from home on my laptop on Thursdays, but it was necessary for me to come into the office today. And in my office, I do not have the camera, nor do I have the microphone on my equipment. So I apologize that you do not get to see me, but I appreciate this opportunity. I think, and Robert, you can correct me, I think I've been involved with this for 5 years, and this is kind of an anniversary year for the State Water Board and BayWork. So thank you for this wonderful opportunity to be a part of
That sounds about right, Annette.
Okay, so thank you. I you know, my memory is okay, but I thought maybe this is our 5-year anniversary. And I'll be honest, when it was suggested to me, I didn't know what I was getting into, but I will honestly say I admire the work that is being done. I have been greatly educated on the work that all of the operators do. And so I appreciate this opportunity to continue and move this good work forward. So if I understand everything correctly, this is supposed to be an question answer session, and I'm not sure how the questions are coming to me. So I'll let you guys provide, raise your hand. I don't know if you can raise your hand or it comes through the chat, but let me know what the questions are and I'll answer them to the best of my ability.
All right. So yeah, we'll use the raise hand feature, and if you have a question, we'll call upon you upon the raised hands. And I don't know, Michael, if you can see that, and then we can call the people out and they can just speak out their question.
Yeah, I'll do my best. Maybe, Annette, you could just start by just giving people an overview of the new system for exams.
Oh boy, so let's see, because of so prior to the pandemic, we were considering moving towards computer-based testing, and with the onset of the pandemic, it moved from let's think about it to it has to be done. So I have to say that the team of staff and management that got computer-based testing moving forward and up and functional did an outstanding job to give everyone the opportunity to participate in the examinations, because we understand how important it is to our systems. We also understand that because of the pandemic, there were some accelerated retirements at water and wastewater utilities, and thus the examinations became even more of a priority. So officially, we have about 10 to 12,000 operators that were not able to test last year that are in the queue to be tested. Can we test all 10,000 at once? No. So we are doing a rollout. Operators are being notified approximately every 2 weeks with their examination instructions. They'll have 60 days to test. So if you signed up for an examination last year, 2020, and you have not received your examination instructions, that does not mean you will not receive your examination instructions. All that means is your name has not come up to be added to the list of operators to test. I strongly encourage everyone to start studying now, because you will only have a 60-day window to study to complete your exam. Any questions on that?
Please use the raise hand and then we'll call upon you.
Features to the exam. Instead of it being pen and pencil, it is now all on a computer. The good news is you will get your results before you leave the testing site.
Great. And another question popped up. Do they still test on weekends?
That is up to the individual site located in your area. They do have evenings, weekends, and some sites are open on Sundays, but that's specific to that site. So I suggest, and this is just my suggestion, look at a site that may not be in your 10-minute, 15-minute driving range. If you're willing to drive 20 or 30 minutes, you may have a site that is more flexible.
Right. Another question, can you reschedule the exam if something comes up in your life and you are not able to make your scheduled date?
Well, you have 60 days. So that is between you and the exam site or the Prometric staff. As long as it's my understanding, as long as you are within the 60 days, you should be able to reschedule it.
Okay. And Daniel Ward has a question. Why don't you unmute?
Yeah, it's more as it's. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's sounding kind of like if people are familiar with CWEA, is that kind of the model for testing you're going with? Because CWEA with your collections, they had a private test site set up. You would make your appointment with them. You go down there, take your test. They give you the results right away, pretty much, and then you're kind of on your way. It sounds like kind of the model that now the water distribution treatment is going as well, pretty much, if people are familiar with it.
So I'm not familiar with CWEA's testing, but it sounds pretty similar.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, it makes it nice and easy. And any radical format changes to the range of knowledge, or are we kind of sticking with what we've had in the years past for now?
No radical changes.
Cool.
The radical change for us is to go computer-based.
Perfect. Thank you.
Ray? Yeah, you're gonna have to unmute, Ray.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question about the grade 3. I know that they eliminated essay questions and then added 5 more questions for the math. Are there still going to be relatively the same type of questions as you would be filling out for an essay, for one? And for the math, before you could show your work for like a half point, now it's just going to be multiple choice. How's that going to be graded now that you can't get the extra half point for showing your work?
Okay, so what the gentleman is referring to is for wastewater examinations, the higher levels. The previous format was there was essay questions and there were math questions, and the math questions were reviewed for partial credit. We could not make that possible with the computer-based testing. So there will be no partial credit for math. You should be given a dry erase board, so those of you that need to write things out will still have, that is still one of the accessories to the exam. Of course, you have to give the dry erase board back, all that kind of stuff. And for the essays have been broken down into a series of questions that would pertain to the essay answer. Now, let me throw this caveat. If you are taking a wastewater exam, you will not get your results when you leave. It takes about 24 to 48 hours for your results to be emailed to you.
Thank you. You've answered my questions.
You're welcome.
I think that was the same question we had in chat as well. Someone else, Jonathan, asked, is the exam offered more often since it's on computer now?
The examination you have every 60 days. So instead of twice a year, technically you could take it about 6 times a year.
Nice.
And that applies to drinking water and wastewater.
Okay. Charles asks, how far out are the exam schedules with respect to the queue? You stated there are 10 to 12,000 operators in the exam queue. For example, if somebody registers to be put into the queue now, when should they expect to be invited to take the exam?
That's a good question. Don't have a very specific answer. And let me tell you why I don't give specific answers. Because somebody's going to call me and say, you said if I registered today, I would be in by such and such a date, and I'm not in. I will say this, if you register today, please understand that there are 8,000 people ahead of you. So it will be a little while.
And Tony asks if you can explain why it will take 2 days for the results in the wastewater exam.
I don't know specifically why the vendor that we are using needed more time to grade the wastewater exam versus the drinking water exam. But we looked at it as previously it would take 6 to 8 weeks to receive your exam results. We thought reducing it to 24 to 48 hours, we could accept that.
Okay. And Kevin asks whether certification fees will be affected by this change to computer-based testing.
Eventually they will.
Quick question.
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
So Monday I'm taking my collections over at Pearson's testing center. Is the wastewater exams going to be at a testing center like Pearson's as well?
Once again, I'm not familiar with Did you say Pearson?
Pearson's.
Yes, I'm not familiar with Pearson's, but I think they are pretty similar. So the answer is probably.
Okay, thank you.
I think you can go on our website and there should be a link to Prometric. And I forgot what the example is, but I thought it was an example of what you can expect once you come into a Prometric site. So you might want to check that out.
Okay, I will do.
Devin asks whether you can skip questions on the exam and come back to them.
I don't know that answer. That's a question you would have to ask Prometric. Really don't know.
With regard to the fee change in the future that you mentioned, are you expecting them to decrease or increase?
Okay, is this a drinking water question or a wastewater question? Or let me just answer for both.
Wastewater.
So
Okay.
let me say this, drinking water fees have not increased since 2001. That's 20 years. We've been operating the program as is. Do I expect an increase? Yes. We have absorbed the cost as much as we can. So yes, the fees will increase. For wastewater, for those of you, and I think Levi was on the advisory committee at the time, we reduced fees because there was a surplus in the fund. We are not increasing fees this year, but we will level off the fees next year. So meaning the first year, we're not going to increase any fees. We are going to look at the data that says how many, on average, how many participated and what it would cost the program to exist. Understand this program is solely supported on operator fees. There is no supplement from the general fund nor federal funding.
Will there be a change in the time allotted for the exam, or will it stay the same?
It is supposed to be, all exams are 3 hours. That's what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Here's another one also. How can an operator get re-registered after a lapse in time before COVID setback?
So if, that question could mean many things, so let me start here. If you submitted for 2020, you do not need to do anything else. We will make sure that you are uploaded and in the system to receive your exam. You've waited a year. If you have not registered in 2020, it is still the same process. You still submit your application to the State Water Board, and when it's your turn to participate in the exam, the State Water Board notifies Prometric, and then Prometric will send the operator an email for their examination instructions. Did I answer the question?
Well, we'll hope so. If not, come back in the chat. And Danny asks, how many questions are on the exam?
Ooh, which exam? Drinking water is still 100 questions, I believe. And I don't remember the final total for wastewater, and I'm sorry.
Okay. And Ralph asks, will there be any changes in regard to continuing education?
So for drinking water right now, it's still the same. And for wastewater right now, there are no continuing education requirements.
Okay. Brian asks, will there be a formula guide to use with the computer-based exam?
There should be. So the answer is yes, with a question mark.
Okay. And Nadine is just wanting confirmation that they will be given dry erase boards for math problems, or will they get scratch paper?
They should be getting dry erase boards. And that is for security of the exam, so that we know we gave you a dry erase board, you gave back a dry erase board. You would be amazed at how many people want to sneak paper out of the exams. It's more than what anyone thinks.
Okay. We had another request for an estimate of how soon they'll be able to test, but I'm going to assume that your answer is the same. You're not giving anything definite.
You are correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, Annette, you know, when they did the on-site testing, there used to be a requirement regarding not being able to bring in programmable calculators, and the on-site proxies used to check for that. So what are the requirements around using a calculator for the computer-based exam?
Good question, Levi. So now they're not allowing calculators at all. There is a calculator on your computer.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Wait, is that it, Levi? You're making it a little easy today. Hold on. You okay?
Yeah. Well, a lot of other people have asked a lot of the questions that I've had, so they've been doing a great job. I've been laying back.
Oh, well, thank you. Okay, who's next?
Do we need our own pencils still?
You do not need your own pencils. And what I strongly encourage everyone to do, call the site that you are going to before you get there, at least a day or two, and say, what can I or can't I bring? It may be on their website, it should be on our website, but I've had a couple of operators call and say, I cannot wear a mask for health reasons. Can I still participate? We cannot force Prometrics to accept anyone that they are not comfortable with, so we refer them back to the site. So anything in regards to what can I bring, or do I have to wear a mask, contact the site that you scheduled your exam with.
Will we be allowed to use the calculator? I assume they're referring to the calculator on the computer beforehand to get familiar.
I don't think so. But once again, contact the site to verify that.
There's a question from Benjamin, and that if I am one of the 8,000 persons sign up for the test, how long do you think I will have to wait? A few months? A year?
I really don't have that answer. But I will say this to all of you that are waiting, start studying. Because what happens is I've had an operator contact me and say, I can't take my exam in the 60 days. Can we extend it? I don't think we can extend it. So I strongly encourage everyone, start studying. I do not have a clue when anyone is going to be added to the Prometric system. And I'm just sorry I can't answer that question.
Okay. This is maybe more of a comment than a question, but Skylar says, I understand the test site in Santa Rosa has lockers and requires you to empty all of your pockets and leave all of it in the locker. So.
It looks like Ray actually has another question. Do you, Ray? I saw you raising your hand.
Okay, wait, let me answer the last statement and then we can go to the next question. The last statement about the lockers, yes, it's true.
Okay.
My question was, if the world should open up again, are they going to go back to testing the other way with the essays and the showing the work, or is it going to be this way here on out?
I think it's going to be this way here on out.
Thank you.
And got another couple of questions. If we do not pass the exam, do we get to see what questions we got wrong?
No, you do not.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, currently there's no review process. When we were giving the pen and pencil exam, that process stopped a few years ago. And let me say this, it stopped because people were trying to change their exams during the review process. And unfortunately, a few bad apples just made it too much of a challenge, and so that service is no longer available. So we aren't currently offering it, and it won't be offered with computer-based testing.
Lorenzo asks, on the keyboard calculator, will it have all of the proper functions?
Don't know that answer because I have not used it. I would contact your site, your Prometric site.
David Short actually raised his hand, so do you want to be unmuted?
I had more of a comment. I had tried to contact the testing site multiple times and they just don't answer the phone or return your calls. I left a couple voicemails. I had some questions. Thankfully, you guys are presenting this because some of my questions were answered. But yeah, I didn't get a return call from them and they don't answer the phone.
Okay, so could you email me who you called? Is that possible?
Yeah, I'll just have to look up the number. It was from the email I got to.
Yeah, if you could give me that information, and so let me say this: the headquarters is on the East Coast, so I don't know what time you called. I'm assuming you called midday, but I'm not sure of their hours. So if you could let me know the number you called, and we'll check into that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Nice background, by the way.
Yeah, there was a question in the chat about getting familiar with the computer on the testing at the testing site. Again, I can't speak. I don't know, Annette, you may know, but just based on some of the other test centers that I've taken similar exams, typically when you show up to take these exams, there are usually a few sample questions that you take so that the person in the test can get familiar with how the system works. And then once you feel familiar with it, you kind of hit the go button, and that's when your time period starts to complete the exam. So I don't know for sure, but I would assume that the test centers probably have that similar feature.
I don't know that answer either. I say contact the, hopefully you can get somebody on the phone, and I would call the direct site since the gentleman has mentioned the general phone number is not being answered. They should be answering at your local Prometric site. I would contact them directly and ask that question.
Skylar put in the chat that he was told by someone who took the exam last week that there is a practice section. So that's good news. And Jonathan asked, will there be dividers between computers separating the test takers at the test center?
I'm sure there is, but that's a logistics at a specific site question. I would contact them directly to find out the answer. We are in contract that they maintain all, federal, state, and county COVID-19 requirements.
Charles asks, are work experience requirements reduced for considering the large number of recent retirements and the inaccessibility of exams over the last year?
So the answer is no. The answer is no because our experience requirements are set in regulation, and our regulations have not been amended. I see you.
Can you recommend any other reading material? Drinking water.
Oh, hello?
Yes, could you recommend any other reading material for drinking water exam?
I do not recommend any material for any exam. If you go on our website, we have study material and recommended range of knowledge for each of our exams.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Danny had a question about what's on the website, but I'm assuming that's the BayWork website. And Corey just put our web address in there. So if folks want to go there, if you want to see the recording of this event or any of the PowerPoints, you can go to baywork.org and go to our past events tab. We will also be putting into the chat the PDF of the PowerPoints you're going to see in the later sessions.
We got what, seven minutes?
Yeah.
9 minutes?
Kevin, and this is really more of a question for Levi, I believe, but Kevin asked for a little more information about BACWI. Levi, do you want to explain that? Oh, before you do, we had one more question about the test from Slavi. Are the wastewater tests the same format as the paper version?
No, they're not the same.
Can you all hear me?
Oh, Annette is just answering one question, and then we'll get to you, Levi.
So the format is not the same. The higher level wastewater, the higher level wastewater exams that used to have essays and math problems where you showed your work and received extra credit. That is no longer. They have been transformed into multiple choice questions and answers.
Can you hear me?
I
Yes.
hear you now, Levi.
Okay, I guess there was a question about BACWI. BACWI is the Bay Area Consortium for Water Education. Traditionally, the way that worked is that we would take the water wastewater curriculum from Solano College and Gavilan College and teach classes at individual wastewater plants. We're changing the model now to where we hope to have this up and going by this fall. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a scholarship approach where you can send an application to BACWI to take a class at Solano, Gavilan, or Santa Rosa Community College in water and wastewater. BACWI, assuming your application is approved, you would then pay to take the class up front and then ask the class or better your tuition for the class and the books that you had to buy for the class will be reimbursed to you. So again, that we're changing that model. So we hope to have that going by this fall. And initially, again, we're collaborating with Solano College in Fairfield, Santa Rosa JC, which obviously is in Santa Rosa, and Gavilan. And in the future, we hope to expand this program to add operator, in addition to operators, but to add maintenance and electrical and collaborate with some other community colleges in the Bay Area. So that's a quick, I guess, overview of BACWI.
Okay, and we've got a couple more questions for Annette, but before we get to those, one follow-up on Bakwi, will classes still be offered at treatment plants?
If we get enough interest, we could possibly hold classes at treatment plants, but we'll have to basically don't know the definitive answer to that, but we'll have to kind of wait and see how that goes. Right now, we're assuming that the classes will be just held at the community colleges.
Okay. And back to Annette here. Do you know how many people have been tested from the exam queue at this point? And has testing been resumed? Sounds like it has.
Okay. Testing has resumed. I do not know how many have been released nor how many have participated, because they have a 60-day window to schedule their exams. So I really can't answer that question. We haven't gone back to look at the statistics. The rollout just started the end of February.
And I think we have a couple of related questions here. Slavi asks, so no more essays on grades 3 and above. Essentially it will be all multiple choice for the whole test, even math and essays.
Correct.
Okay. And I think you may have addressed this one previously, but if you haven't, will we still be given math formula sheets?
Yes, you will.
Okay. Great.
But let me say this, check with your site. They may have them. There's a little hiccup between who's providing them, or are the operators required to print them and bring them? So I would check on that if I were participating in the exam.
Great. Any other questions out there?
I'll also just, there was a question about holding Bakwi classes. Also, out just for everyone's information, some of the wastewater and water classes are now being offered online by Solano, Gavilan, and Santa Rosa College. So you may not have to go to the college site itself. You may be able to take some of those classes online.
Okay. And David has a question. David, you want to unmute and ask?
Yeah, being as it's I'm currently at work, would it be feasible to come at a later date and look onto your Baywork website to review this webinar? It would be,
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys' time, but I will, I'll see you later.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys.